about converting. Brad Geddes, welcome to the show, sir.
Welcome as well, and thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. Brad is the founder of Certified Knowledge, an online paid search training and tool set provider. He's also the co-founder of AdAlysis, let me say that again. AdAlysis, an automatic ad testing platform. He's also the author of Advanced Google AdWords, the most advanced book ever written about Google advertising program. Now, is that a great bio, or is that a great bio?
Yeah, I think he knows a lot about AdWords.
That's right.
He wrote an entire book. Dedicated to AdWords.
I know, and multiple editions. So welcome to the show, Brad. Brad, could you give us a snapshot of your day?
Oh gosh, that so depends on where I wake up in the morning. I travel so much.
Is that worrisome there?
It's not quite that exciting, right?
You're like Bruce Banner all of a sudden.
You wake up and you don't know what city you're in, right? Because it could be London or Detroit, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to tell sometimes.
Absolutely.
I was going to go with gutter with me.
When I'm not traveling, right, it's usually wake up in the morning, and so I'm actually a productivity freak, right?
Yeah.
That's my other passion, is to get things done really fast, very, very efficiently, right? So to me, it's wake up, have coffee, check the news, check the blog, see what's happening, and then work. Mm-hmm. And in fact, everyone in our company does. And I did not say something. I actually didn't say email. We don't touch it. No morning meetings, no email, no nothing. Work, which could be managing paid search, working on one of our products, analyzing stuff, creating videos, whatnot. It's then lunch, which is not at a computer. In fact, no one in our company has lunch in front of a computer. It's go, and we're all virtual, so go watch Netflix, go out for a walk, whatever, clear your mind. In the afternoons, we're less productive, right? That's just a natural part of individuals, so we need to borrow other people's energy. Hence why I'm borrowing yours right now, because you're in a great mood and a different time zone.
Oh, there you go.
So afternoons are meetings, calls, clients, whatever, right? The grunt stuff that doesn't require creative thinking.
Oh, wow. I am in awe. I mean, the sheer fact that you don't touch email. How do I do that?
It's a time waster.
Yeah.
It's a time waster.
It is, right? If someone looks at me and I said, "What did you do today?" and their answer is email, I'm like, "You didn't work."
Right.
You didn't do anything.
Oh, I love this.
Jennifer, you've met your twin.
I know. What time do you get up?
I'm an early riser. I don't sleep much, right? So, I mean, to me, like, I don't set an alarm. 6 hours is great, right? Yep. So I'm usually up between 4:30 and 5:30 in the morning, pretty early. Which means I can get stuff done, like before my daughter wakes up, before anyone's awake in the house. It's just, at my own pace.
I'm just going to leave you two alone.
Yeah.
You guys have a good show.
Between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m., I am my most productive. I probably get more done than people get done in 2 days.
That's how I am, which is why we don't touch email until maybe before lunch or after lunch, right, throughout the afternoon. But this is like the problem in a lot of corporations, right, is you've got two sets of people. You have makers or people who create stuff, right? And they look at 30 minutes and say, what the hell do you want me to do, right? I can't do anything in 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. They want 3-hour time blocks.
Right.
But they're not the people who control their calendar, right? Their bosses control their calendars. They live in 30-minute, 60-minute chunks of Outlook, right? Or Google Calendar or whatever. And so they mess up their days, right, by saying, oh, yeah, let's have a 10:30 a.m. meeting. And you're like, you just took my beautiful 4-hour morning and gave me 2 1-hour chunks. All right, you're not getting anything done. And so this is why in the morning we always say it's creation time, right? You're more productive. Everyone is in the morning. Even late night owls are still more productive in whatever their morning happens to be. Right. And so then get stuff done so everybody before lunch can say, hey, I got this done today. Right, this is what I made today. This is what I accomplished. Then after lunch, that's meetings, client stuff, things, because you're less productive. You need to get these things done anyway.
Sure.
Then it requires much creative thought, and it's a great way of structuring days.
You come to the meeting with like your checklist of everything you got done?
Oh, we have a meeting rules actually. So I mean, I'm a crazy productivity person, right? So like, a meeting can be 25 minutes or 50 minutes. You got to let people go to the bathroom and get coffee between meetings.
Yep.
If you call a meeting, you must have an agenda.
Yes.
If you don't get your agenda done because you were too off topic, you can't call a meeting for a week. Actually,
there's a penalty. Yes.
I'll add one to that. Mine is if you don't tell me why I have to show up to the meeting.
Yep.
I don't go.
Yeah.
When the meeting starts, a meeting.
I love it.
Is the ability to shape the future of a company or a product. So it should be something you actually look forward to, not something you dread. Mm-hmm. Which also means when meeting starts, the door gets locked. Can't join late, right? Because if you're late and everyone's waiting on you, you just waste everybody's time. All right, you lose an opportunity to shape the future of what you're building. You can, if someone doesn't have to be there, they're an optional invite, right? But you might have a manager or someone who you want to let them know it's happening, but they know they don't have to actually be there.
Yep.
If you invite someone who never speaks, then you shouldn't have invited them in the first place.
Yes. All part of your Digital Dream Teams book?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I might have taught. I forgot about that book. That was Avinash Kushek, myself, Brian Eisenberg. Yeah, that was a good book. I forgot about that one. I might have mentioned
Brian Eisenberg is great. We got to get him on the show too. He's an awesome. Hey, Brad. I mean, you are expounding manna from heaven when it comes down to digital marketing agencies, and the bane of agencies' existence is the unnecessary meeting.
It's throughout technology.
It really is.
I worked at the big orange email company in town as a product manager, and 1 week I told my fellow product manager I'm not going to any meetings, and he said you can't do that, and I said no, I'm not going to accept any meetings, and I worked the entire week, got tons of work done, got new features designed, everything else.
Right.
And at the end of the week, my boss walked up behind me and he goes, "Hey, I heard you weren't going to any meetings," and I said, "Yeah, that's right." And he goes, "Man, you have really nailed it this week." and my fellow product manager was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" And it was because I didn't need to be there. It was in that, and Brad can chime in on this. A lot of times I think people invite people to meetings because they don't want to make the decision themselves.
That's right.
They want the collaborative decision. That way, if it goes wrong, I don't get blamed.
It's cover fire.
I say, well, we all agreed to that in the last meeting.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
So we also don't allow reoccurring meetings. I think they're terrible, right? It's you have this meeting that you're supposed to be at that no one cares, but it's just sitting there, right?
Brad,
so we treat everything as a project.
Hero. Oh my gosh.
Which is milestones and due dates, right? Even if it's a client paid search account or an SEO company, right? It's you might have a monthly reoccurring meeting because it's a client check-in meeting and part of they're paying the bills. Mm-hmm. Fine, get that, right? But that reoccurring meeting to talk about, hey, what are we doing next? No, what are your milestones? Yep. What's your checklist? Yep. If no one needs to meet, save yourself time and get some stuff done.
That's it's amazing. We actually here at Site Strategics are looking at incorporating the ROW environment into our space. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not. What is that?
The results only work environment.
What's the elevator pitch on that?
GoRow.com.
GoRow.com.
It's essentially what you're already doing.
Absolutely.
It's just a term for it.
Exactly. And it's oriented towards getting results, not time on deck, not filling in the work blocks just to make sure you're punching in the time, but actually orienting towards results and all the things that you just were ascribing to. You can only go to meetings that you should be involved with, and the unnecessary. I mean, every meeting is actually optional. It's a robust way to change the entire dynamic of a shop to actually focus on just the successes, and it gives liberty to everybody's time clock, and it really kind of embraces the work-life connection. Is that, hey, in the middle of the day, if you need to be going to the bank to go do something or doing some laundry or what have you, as long as the work gets done, it doesn't matter how you're doing it or where you're doing it. So I mean, it puts respect, and it gives it gives employees the concept of actually being an adult as opposed to being watched over by the bosses.
So we've been ROW certified for 3 years now.
Yeah, you have.
But I will say this. you have to get the right employees.
Yes, you do. That's why you only have one.
Well, that's fair, right? Because something I believe in, right, is you've all hit days where it's 2:30. You had a really productive day, and you're like, but your brain is done, right? You can't do anything else. And so in typical office, you sit there for 2.5 hours playing free cell in Excel, so no one knows you're not in Excel working, right? Waiting to go home.
I love that.
In reality, right? Just get out, go home, right? There's no point in being there.
Right. Absolutely. And it gets down to.
I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye right now.
Wait a minute. This is a conversation in its own right, because this is where the knowledge economy needs to go. Is that you're not punching the clock of the old industrial 40-hour a week. 40 hours a week does not equate to value. It equates to time, and that time, regardless of how you spend it, is the only thing that companies were looking at. Is if you're putting time into the clock, then that's what they're getting. Well, this is a value-based environment, and the only way for America to truly change is to be able to embrace their knowledge industry and embrace the freedom, and even the gig economy has its place in this next evolution of workforce. It truly does.
Yep. And just to clarify, right, it's not everyone goes home at 3, right? There's certain days you're so productive and you're in that groove, you might be there till 7, 8 at night, right? Because that's where you want to be, and that's where you need to be at that point. Because you're a blowtorch.
Yeah, exactly. You've got that energy going.
Yep. And it's just it's what can you handle and what can you get done. I agree.
PPC. Let's kind of wander that way now. No, it's awesome, Brad, and it's actually invaluable. Are you blogging and communicating about these type of work ethics regularly?
Not regularly, a little bit, right? Because I consider a calendar a paid search tool, right? Because if you don't have time to do something, who cares what you need to get done? And number 2, if you don't know what to do, it doesn't matter anyway, right? So your calendar or your project management system, we use PM for a lot of paid search stuff, project management systems, really tells you what needs to get done. And so often I think people jump into hey, we need to do this, and this, right? And they make checklists of things to do. And a checklist, I don't want to go back into our whole productivity conversation here, but checklist is just who cares when it gets done, right? There's stuff on my checklist my wife gave me 8 years ago, right? It's still on my checklist. It's more what has to be done. And if you don't know what to do, then it doesn't matter, right?
I had one of those too, and now I have an ex-wife.
Sorry for the interruption. Keep on going. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I think I was done with the thought, right? So, paid search, it's great. You guys do a lot of SEO as well, right? And either way, though, for us, it's calendar and project management. That says what to do, right? And then it's, okay, now we know what to actually do, whether it's keyword research, mining queries, doing ad copy testing, landing page testing, whatever it happens to be. Because you know what makes what needs to get done and what's going to make the biggest impact based upon what you've done in the past and what needs to happen next in the future.
Excellent. I'm going to tell our listeners a little bit more about you, Brad. Brad has worked with companies who've managed tens of thousands of small PPC accounts and other companies who spend millions on marketing each year. And his experience ranges from owning his own agency to managing a boutique agency, overseeing programs that were official resellers of Google and Microsoft, a litany of companies. And one of Brad's trademarks has been demystifying the complicated aspects of SEM. Not one just to hold on to secrets, but Brad actually prefers to educate his readers on the various aspects of crafting successful marketing campaigns. So the combination of your goal to educate, as well as, you've got such a breath of fresh air when it comes down to work ethics and innovation in the workspace. How many people actually work with you, Brad?
That depends on your definition of work with, right? So at the moment, right, where our company Certified Knowledge is only a handful of people. Our company AdAlysis is 6, I believe, although we have hundreds of millions of ads because you can scale with technology. Oh, yeah. But right now we're working very close with Google in developing some new training. So that's 40 people we're working with, 30 people over there, right? Because it's PMs plus the best practice system.
Oh, very good.
And so it kind of depends on what the definition of work with is, which is a very loose definition these days. Whether it's, so our direct employees, not huge, because we believe in what you said, right? Like maximizing people's time in a highly efficient manner, and that you can scale with the right people through technology and not necessarily just human resources.
Yeah, I completely understand that. That's great, and that means you're working collaboratively and with a respect of productivity as opposed to just bodies in a group. Yeah, that's fantastic. You're also a columnist on Search Engine Land. And the blogger over at certifiedknowledge.org, and forum moderator over at webmasterworld.com. You're also a speaker, and you've spoken at over 60 conferences and 125 sessions across the country, across the continents. Tell me some of the places you've been.
Oh, gosh. So I've spoken in Kenya, Egypt, London, Munich, Italy, Canada, United States, Australia, Hawaii, Netherlands, Spain, Belgium, Helsinki last year, Romania, Lithuania. It's quite a range. I have not yet spoken in Antarctica or South America. Two continents I'm missing from a speaking engagement standpoint.
There is an entire... You've nailed almost every continent. There
SMX Antarctica next.
Exactly. Yep. There is a huge market
Get on
out
that,
there. Sarah. That's fantastic. Where are you traveling soon?
My next trip is vacation up to Minnesota. So it's family trip next, and then out to Salt Lake City, then back to Google, then up to New York. I think there's a Vegas trip in there somewhere.
So you live out of a suitcase.
Yeah, pretty much.
At times, right? So in the spring, I live out of a suitcase. In the summer, I don't travel a huge amount. We get lots and lots done. In the fall is a bit sporadic. So the spring, though, if you're frequent travelers, I've already done my 100,000 flight miles this year.
Oh, jeez. Actually, Minnesota, I'm actually going to be going up to Minnesota here next month, going up to the Boundary Waters on a canoe trip with the Boy Scouts.
Oh, awesome. Oh, that's great. I did that when I was a scout years and years ago, right?
Yeah,
that's a fantastic trip.
Oh, boy. And we're excited. We got 39 scouts going up there. And I heard tell that you're also an Eagle Scout.
I am an Eagle Scout, yes. So we were part of a high adventure group.
Oh, very cool.
So we used to do...
Philmont?
No, we would say, let's go hike over the Continental Divide of the Rockies this summer and spend 2 weeks backpacking. Or let's do, 300 miles of the Appalachian Trail. Or let's do a 3-week canoe trip.
It's awesome being part of that high adventure group. Yeah, we have one of those in our troop as well. I was going to actually veer off and ask you about that. How do you think your Eagle accomplishment has actually affected your career?
So that's a really interesting question, right? So from getting into college and from scholarship standpoint, positive influence because, you're 18, right? That it just happened.
Yep.
It is one of those bullet points, though, that everyone says just keep on your resume.
Sure.
And I have had random conversations with big company CEOs or CFOs or so forth, who were also in Scouts. It might have been Eagle, might not have been.
Right.
And so it often starts that whole interest-based conversation, which then so from a sales perspective, right? Someone has to trust you like you believe you know what you're doing. You get 2 out of 3, you get a sale. Right. And so that's that instant you because you must be a responsible, nice person to have earned this, right? So you, from a sales perspective, useful, from a conversation that blends into, sales or work later on. I can't say it's a consistent thing, but there's definitely been times that it's helped leaving it there.
That's what I was going to say, because you just met Aaron, so.
Well, see, your success has risen.
The exception is right there.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. Are you an Eagle Scout as well?
I am not, unfortunately, but my son is 6 months away from his Eagle.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
He's plugging away. So and that's the reinforcing things that we talk to him about. But I mean, he's starting to finally come into his own and understand. Okay, he's getting some self-affirmation now that he can actually accomplish things, and that was the biggest win right there, and he's certainly going to benefit it long term. Boy, that was a self-indulgent little bit of a few minutes there, wasn't it?
Hey, so pay-per-click.
Yeah, pay-per-click. Who knew? All right, how about this? How about we break here for a second and then come right back with Brad Geddes as we dive in. Truthfully, it's going to get there, into advanced PPC. How about that? We're continuing our discussion with Brad Geddes and unpacking more focus, finally, about advanced PPC. So, Brad, thank you for joining us back on the show here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I enjoy being here. It's a fun conversation.
Thank you. So let's dig into some of the advanced PPC thoughts here. We know that you have a prime interest in ad testing. Let's talk about that for a couple of minutes here. What are the challenges when it comes down to search ad testing?
Many. So AdAlysis, the name may be too clever for its own good. Analysis, but just switch the N for a D, right? AdAlysis. And our goal is actually focusing users on actionable data, right? And that could be search query data, ngram data, or ad testing. We're known for our ad testing. And the problem most people have is that they get the concept they should be testing ads. So they go and they create a couple ads in an ad group, or maybe 100 ad groups, or some accounts millions of ad groups, and then they run the data manually, or use a plugin for Excel and say, okay, I spent all this time all day today analyzing data, and I've got 3 things to do. And then the next month, right, they do the whole thing, and they've got 8 winners, and they're like, oh, we've got 1,000 ad tests, we have 11 winners. So month 3, they want to speed up the results. So they go to the ad group, they eyeball the data, and they say, that looks like a winner. Now, as humans, we love finding patterns in anything. We will find a pattern in complete randomness, right? And all of a sudden, people making decisions off of very poor data. So the challenge is to use a third-party tool, a script, something that keeps you honest to the data and let the data tell you what to do, not find patterns in randomness. And that's actually one of the huge challenges is patience and letting data speak to you.
Don't try to infer something where it's not.
Yeah. Another big problem people have is most people just think of testing within an ad group, right? And that's useful for brand terms and high volume terms.
Right.
But when you think about the ads, all ads do are give you insights into the targeting method used to show them. So in an ad group level, it's the target method for those particular keywords. It doesn't give you an insight across a segment of ads, though. So, for instance, if you've got a product terms, non-brand product terms, right, you might want to know, hey, should we use geographies in the ads for a lead gen company? Should we offer shipping or a price or a discount on the ad? Should we use dynamic keyword insertion ad customizers or just write static ads, right? And these are great questions, but you can't test them in one ad group, right? So what else we do is we call it multi-ad group testing, where you can take a pattern, and a pattern could be includes, doesn't include, this word, labels, whatever, and say, let's aggregate the data at the pattern level so you could test all of your non-brand product terms together to understand a consumer insight across that pattern, because now you've got a consumer insight, which is great for ads, it's great for social, it's great for emails, right? It's great for landing pages.
Well,
you're now learning something about the user as opposed to just your targeting method.
No, absolutely. You're creating a learning engine there, as opposed to a myopic type of tunnel vision type of perspective. You're absolutely right. So ad testing is imperative when it comes down to any ad campaign, correct?
Yes, it could be ad campaigns. I mean, it could be email, right? Anywhere you're doing something, you need to know how users interact with your message and what messages are going to resonate best with them.
I mean, if you weigh a percentage of tactics in any particular medium, I mean, how much weight do you put on the ad testing as opposed to other points of execution of that? I mean, are you looking at this going, is it imperative that you must test, and does it mean night and day to a successful campaign?
Yeah, so when you think of an account, right? You've got keywords, bids, targets, remarketing, customer match.
Yep.
A user sees none of that.
No, you're absolutely right. Hey,
only thing the user see is your ads. They're one of the most important things you can do.
Absolutely. So you got to get that right, and you got to have enough bandwidth, which means inventory, which means budget to be able to do some of this testing that you're looking for as well. So whenever you're dealing with a smaller budget campaign, and I don't think you come across those just with your experience that often. I think you're kind of operating in a different echelon sometimes here, right?
It's both, right? Because we have got some clients who spend well over $100 million a year with Google. We have others who are resellers. Like we used to be a reseller. We used to manage 42,000 paid search accounts that spent under $5,000 a month. And so that can still be done, right? But again, that whole insight testing patterns across ad groups is what a small account has to do outside maybe brand terms, because no ad group has enough information.
Correct.
In aggregate, they do have enough information. But you don't have to use a third-party tool. I mean, you could use pivot tables and stuff yourself, right, and do this. I mean, if you don't know pivot tables, that's your next hour of work, is go learn pivot tables. Because you could do all of this in Excel. It's just a matter of how much time is it going to take you.
No, absolutely.
Especially if you're not checking email.
I'm going through a couple key concepts inside of advanced PPC before I let Jennifer loose on a couple questions here. Give me your thoughts about remarketing and the evolution of remarketing inside of the ad space.
Oh gosh, so social and display people have used audience-based targeting for years, right? I mean, it's the cornerstone of social marketing. And audience targeting, whether it's emails to customer match, remarketing, which is based on your website usage, could be search or display, similar lists. This is something that is really useful in search that is still highly underutilized, because paid search marketers weren't trained to think in audiences, right? They're trained to think in keywords. And when you look at anyone's funnel, right, you've got your awareness to consideration to purchase stages.
Right.
Your keywords are often in your middle range of consideration to purchase, but you can't force someone to come back and search for you, right? So that remarketing is really, really helpful to bring a user back who just hasn't needs that last final push to finish. Selling something. I think it's crucial to use remarketing for most companies. There's a few exceptions, but they're pretty rare.
I'm really obsessed with the audience segmentation. I've seen some really great results by looking at the data and seeing what was already converting, and then building an audience off of that and doing the remarketing to them. It's been fantastic.
Awesome. Any cool stories you can share there?
Recently doing it with a tractor company where I looked at their entire data and figured out 2 different age ranges that were already converting, went with a certain demographic male, and retargeted them with a split to people that had just been to the website overall, and I think I have a 36% conversion rate on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
She's our PPC queen over there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get into that type of segmentation, and you can absolutely have those type of conversion numbers, and those are unheard of, even in any type of digital marketing media. But I mean, you certainly operate in there, Brad. You start repurposing that data, and you actually can get those insights. That's where those large scale wins come from.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so Google lets me share this particular snippet of data, right? They took a cross-section of a week of all data in the financial sector, and RLSA clicks, so remarketing list for search ads clicks, made up between 6 and 8% of the clicks, depending on the subset of financial sector. It made up 18 to 20% of the conversions. So that's a huge difference. So if you're not using it, you're missing out on 3x higher conversion. That's finances. That's expensive.
That's huge.
But you have to have at least 1,000 people. That's my problem with that. What about some of my smaller accounts where I don't have that kind of audience?
Yeah, you can't do it, right? I mean that's kind of the reality, right? Is if you
get watching the red where it says I don't have enough.
Yep. I mean, you can open up the time frames, but again, then you start to add people who don't care as much.
Right, exactly.
You can, similar lists are coming out, which might have some benefits there, because if you only have 800, but there's a list that's got over 1,000, then you could leverage the list. It's not quite as good.
Yeah. Go into that for a second, because that just came through the vine here, so to speak, within the last year of leveraging your email lists to actually to target your potential searchers or your potential consumers. Correct?
Well, there's two things. I said similar list, but you're talking about what's known as customer match.
I'm sorry, customer match.
Yeah. So customer match is great because you can leverage offline data, or however you get them into your CRM system, right? You could do Salesforce integration.
Yep.
If you do a lot of trade shows and collect cards, and they give you permission, right, as you collect a card to market to them, you could put that in your CRM system and market online to them using offline data collection. And so with customer match, it's just like remarketing lists for search ads in that you can do different bids, different keywords, different ads for users. The difference is the list is created based on email matches, where remarketing is based on website usage.
Correct. And I guess my question along with it is, if you've had experience in that email and the customer match, how's the conversion inside those spaces? Is that a legitimate play for a company that doesn't have the budget to be able to bring 300 visitors a day to their ad space?
So it depends what you're trying to do. Right. So let's say you're a small company, you're a little e-commerce shop.
Right.
So you've got a larger budget you're willing to spend at Christmas time, and people buy like crazy during Christmas time. So if you have 1,000 customers over the course of a year, right, 3 years, customer match doesn't have an expiration date on it. You could use that list only during Christmas time, right, and not leverage it all the time when users are more likely to buy. So that if you have a loyalty program, right, you could offer something only to the loyalty users. Or if you're a common ones like in telco, right, all telcos offer internet, cable, and TV. Yeah, TV's still around. Internet, cable, phones. That's it. Actual landlines. Wow, I forget about landlines. All right, you could say, hey, you're a member of 2 of ours, but not a third one.
Right.
So let's make a list of only people who have 2, not the third one, and just market that third one to that list, right? And that gets in a larger one. Small companies can use them, but they don't have much flexibility because that may be all the emails they have.
Yeah, what you're talking is the modifier against that list is that it has to have an actionable X factor there to be able to move that into play. You just can't throw a list in there that doesn't have context.
No, you need everything with marketing, right? Needs some context around it.
Absolutely. Well, some of the upcoming changes at AdWords will be interesting, and you mentioned a couple in your pre-show communication. Can you give you some? I'll give you some ground to cover in some of those insights.
Sure. So upcoming changes. I mean, I think the biggest change that's worrying people is extended text ads.
Yes. Where
it's 2 30-character headlines, 180-character description, and a slightly different final URL or display URL, but don't worry about that. This is going to be tough for people because, I mean, theoretically, you could take your current D1, make your new headline 2. You could take your current description line, make your new description line, although you're losing 65 characters, and be done with it. And that's not going to be a great result. And in fact, Boost puts together some stuff on that, and it doesn't look good, right? This really is kind of reimagining when you first open a paid search account about the ads, the creation, and what that marketing message is. the data that just doesn't exist yet because there's just not enough of it is how much does that description line really matter, right? Your legal and your brand folks are going to love this. They have a lot more creative space, right? Yep. But is the headline 1 and 2 so much more important than the description line that if you really focus on those, you'll be okay? Or is it that description line going to be really, really important? And that's this big unknown. And Google said it's coming, but they have not put a lot of parameters around it, right? I mean, they haven't, they're going to, some people are in the beta right now. It doesn't show all the time. It's expanding in October. There's no mobile preference, which is a big change too. All your ads can show on all devices. You can't, but you'll be able to modify. So there's no clear-cut answer yet because there's not much data to go on. There's just supposition of things we can try as opposed to things we should do.
Are you building your ads prior here so that when it does go live, you're ready to go?
We are building some tools to let you automatically make your D1 your new H1, or actually use your D2 in case you want to use that as your new H1, and then pick a segment of where the ads fit into and running a common description line just to get you somewhere, right? But that way, often most description lines are just like free shipping over 150 and great customer care and blah, 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 right? Just to get you, going, and then you need to customize it from from not completely
some prep tools. At least to get fill in those ads, not a full dial, because you're not going to have the data to be able to know exactly what the best type of phraseology is for a longer headline, a longer D1.
Yeah, and there's the other consideration that so device modifiers are coming at some point in time where you can make a mobile-only campaign desktop, or you could just set mobile as your base bid, use modifiers for tablets, desktops, whatnot. So some companies will make one ad, shows across all devices, and just manage the actual bid with modifiers. Other companies are going to make mobile-only campaigns and desktop-only campaigns.
Right.
So they don't know when the modifiers are rolling out. So they don't want to spend all this time on mobile-only ads if these modifiers are rolling out till next summer, right? And so because of this uncertainty, a lot of companies are kind of waiting a bit, actually, to have more certainty of what will be the state of these other changes when these ads truly go live for most of the auctions.
Gotcha. All right.
Not enough time.
This certainly begets a longer conversation. But those are some of the new things that are going to be coming in all frankness. What a great environment to be, because Google's really investing in a lot of time into new tools for the advertisers. If you think about it, over the course of the years where AdWords has been around, this is a beautiful time because there's so many things that they're providing us.
Yep.
So many different landscapes to be able to communicate through as well.
Oh yeah, it's the timing is what's worrisome, right? Yeah. A Q4 change. Do you guys remember Florida Update? You've been in SEO long enough to remember Florida?
Absolutely. Yep.
Right, and that was the Florida Update, changed everything right as Christmas season hit, and just threw a wrench into everybody's holiday marketing. Right, and so there are people with this lingers in their mind, and Google's like, October changes, and we're going to roll it out more, and they're like, so are you going to change our ad format in November, or are you going to lock down from Thanksgiving on, nothing happens, right?
Because depending on the seasonality of the business, it could be a game changer.
Yeah, and that's another really big uncertainty for companies. Their companies spend half their budget in 6 weeks of the year. They're just kind of tell us anything, right? To give us an idea, is this 10% of the auctions or 80% in December, right? And that's what's worrying people, is the unknown. They get what it is, right? They just don't know how to address it because there's no good timelines for anything.
Well, it's like you always had the unknown with Google, and now all of a sudden they're starting to give more information. It's like, stop it. I'm better with the unknown rather than ignorance is bliss, huh?
Not nearly as effective. Let's kind of change the topic here and hit a couple key points. Is there an ad platform that you know of right now that is trending upward that people should be jumping onto?
Oh, it's totally. I mean, you like a Google, Facebook, like a large distributor of ads.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that as well as maybe an actual ad analyzing tool, like, and we'll certainly focus on AdAlysis as well. I mean, there's a prime tool right there. But are you aware of anything in the industry of paid ad management that is up and coming?
And the management standpoint, that's up and coming.
Yep.
Man, the main players are pretty here. So I think you've got Optimizer, which is Fred Vallet's company. You have us, AdAlysis. But I think what we're currently seeing, and there's some smaller players but without a lot of traction yet. But I think this is also a great time to examine tools. I think marketers have come to the understanding that giving up 1 percentage point of inefficiency is worth it to save, hundreds of hours of time.
Yeah.
And that we can't think of everything in, hey, we just need a bid system, right? Because bids are the most transient thing you can do. Your bid's only good till you actually find a new bid. A new ad extension, keyword's good forever. And so, I mean, I don't know. We add many millions of ads every month to our platform.
Oh, wow.
So we've got advertisers with like individual accounts with 30 million ads, and we've got a lot of SMBs who are running 300 ads, right? I mean, it's across the board.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Well, Jennifer had a few questions about just some basic housekeeping when it comes down to your campaign management. You want to throw a couple out there real quick?
How do you feel about SCAGs?
I think so. For everyone's just knowledge, SCAGs being single keyword ad groups.
Right.
They have their place at times for very high volume keywords or for branded terms. As an account structure, I hate them. I think it's way too much time. It makes way too many ads. It adds a level of complexity I think is completely unnecessary.
We found a difference in each other.
The honeymoon's over.
Have you ever? Are you running accounts with 300,000 keywords?
No.
Would you make a SCAG account if you had 300,000 keywords?
Oh, hell no. I'm sorry.
Okay, so from a small account perspective, they're useful.
Right.
Right. From a large account perspective, they're unwieldy, and I think that's a good way of thinking of them as well.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I got a question for you. You wrote an article for Search Engine Land back in March where you and your team reverse engineered quality scores and their ranking factors. Mm-hmm. And you show that CTR and landing pages are the two most important factors. And in your workflow, you put landing pages, actually, relevance first. Is this where any AdWords user should look to improve first before even worrying about their ads or their keywords?
So, yes and no, right? So, landing page experience often dictates someone staying on your site and converting. Mm-hmm. So, usually fixing it is also fixing conversion rates.
Right.
The problem is that certain companies are very inflexible about their websites. It could be an IT lockdown company. It could be someone who, I know a site the other day that was made in front page and still managed in front page. So, for them to make an update, they got to go find their old software to try to redo their site, right? I mean, they store in front page extensions on their server.
Right.
So for them, it's managing ads way easier to do. Agencies who are not managing websites, right, way easier to do. So sometimes you got to pick your battles, but if you can pick any of them, landing page is very important. Yeah. But some people, it's too much of a battle.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, and but that certainly does affect the quality score. And if you can't raise that, you're going to have sandbags around your campaign. Another question from Jennifer, real quick.
Just based on that landing page too, how do you feel about a landing page where you can go nowhere versus leading to the website where today's buyer can scroll around a little bit and get a little bit more information?
So you're talking
not pigeonholing them.
You're talking squeeze pages as opposed to yeah.
So again, this is where personal feelings and data are different. Right. So data usually says, hey, it's paid search, strip out the navigation from the top, keep pigeonhole in an area, but then within your footer, make a nice, pretty extended footer.
Yep.
and let them get to the homepage, because if they want something, you don't offer it, you're going to lose them, right? But don't put all your top navigation. If it truly doesn't even have anything else,
Right.
I probably personally won't stay there, because I always want to learn a little bit about a company before I give them information.
Yep.
But data doesn't always say that.
No, it doesn't. But at the same time, is that data the actual true, correct consumer data? I mean, if you're squeezing the lead through, right? That's, it's very, very, you're removing all distractions, but you're also removing persuasiveness of actual conversion commitment. So you're getting conversions, but you're also not getting that enhancement to the conversion that investigation allows.
Or
right?
maybe you just got a crappy lead.
Well, I mean,
seriously.
but that's the other factor, is that, okay, your conversion data is working, but how's that actual lead?
Right.
Did it turn into a true sale?
Right.
As opposed to, okay, yeah, I'm interested in this thing because I'm not really interested, and I'll just throw some junk email into the conversion form, right?
Yep. My data is showing leading directly to the website, and I'm getting better versus pigeonhole.
This comes back to the question earlier about remarketing and where it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
We were working with a company that had a 5-minute autoplay video
Oh, come on.
and the landing page without a conversion activity for 3 minutes. Didn't exist.
Ouch.
It was a $149 a month product
That's
with
just
a
painful.
14% conversion rate
On that page.
on that page. Problem is, you knew the page, you knew the website. Remarketing was a failure. Couldn't make it work, right? Because you buttonholed users, right? You gave them one option. If they didn't like it, they'll never come back.
Yeah.
So when you look at a global perspective, I find adding the ability to learn about the company often then increases overall sales via remarketing in other channels, where when you give them one option, the remarketing efforts are much worse.
I think it's the middle of the road concept is don't lose the Chrome, but be very selective on what navigation you do provide, because conventionally the true website has a lot of options, a lot of potential distraction navigation. But if you have select navigation that's built there to help persuade, find out that the who, what, where, why, so to speak, on why I should be interested in your service, it's a select persuasion as opposed to everything under the sun.
I'm a fan of microsites over landing pages.
Oh, okay. Very good.
For those reasons.
Very good.
Question. I got a question.
Yes, sir. Hi, Doug. How you doing?
I know I don't do a lot of pay-per-click, so
Where you been, bud?
we have a client that was actually, we were just talking about. They've been wavering on their pay-per-click, so they'll do a couple months pay-per-click, spend a ton of money, and then they'll drop it for a month, and then they'll increase it and everything else. And they're pretty standardized from a keyword, what's working, what's conversions. But over time, they're seeing a decline on their pay-per-click results. Is that, is consistency built into that ad score?
So, from a quality score perspective, no. But consistency, so a good thing to look at, right?
Yep.
Is go into analytics, whatever analytics system you use, and look at time delays to conversions. Because if someone is taking 2 weeks to convert, and they see a paid search ad one day, and then you turn off all your paid search, it means they don't see remarketing 2 weeks later. You've lost the rapport you built with the customer,
Right.
right? And so I find people who just turn it on and off have worse results than if they were to use a lower budget consistently and use the channels correctly. Now, you may ramp up spend at certain points in time because you got more budget, or we have a demand we need to meet or whatnot. That's fine.
Right.
But I find turning it off completely, you're breaking your user connection. Even if it's just a low frequency remarketing campaign to be top of mind of a long B2B sales funnel, right? You're breaking that, and you often get worse results.
Oh, that's very interesting. So I'm going to pull the nose up on the plane here, because we've been doing some deep diving in the concepts of advanced PPC. Did you want to ask any other things? I know you're loaded for bear there, Jennifer. Anything else that you wanted to say?
We could talk for hours.
So we're going to have a B segment.
So basically, we're just getting free consulting from Brad here. This is fantastic.
I'm getting free marketing from you, right?
See, he knows. Well, let me ask you this, Brad. What bugs you about your industry right now?
Gosh, I mean, so I'm so happy right now with this industry that, I mean, when I think of things that bother me, it's usually a search engine announcing things without details around it, or it is people who only read other people's blog posts and don't experiment themselves and say this is gospel. Hate that. Use your own data, right? Or I mean, because I always think, like, if you hear suggestions, right, that just means it's something for you to test for yourself. It doesn't mean you should or shouldn't do it.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, right now, if anything bugged me, it's Google saying this is coming with no definitives anything. So everyone's kind of like a little bit lost, and they don't actually know all the time frames either, right? Like I've been at Google twice in the past like month, and they don't have all the time frames. So it's not like they don't want to give it to us; they don't actually have them.
Got it. See, we always want to believe that they have all of the answers. They're just not telling us. Well, they don't. They are certainly testing as they go down and as they go through, and some of these things they'll revert back, and I mean they do have methodology, absolutely. They do have the goals that they want to achieve, but at the same time, sometimes they can't give you the information because they just don't have it. No, I agree. What excites you about your industry right now? And you certainly are more pro than con on the industry. What have you really liked in this last year?
Gosh, I think what we talked about earlier, audience targeting, the way audience targeting has come to search is just fantastic. And the other thing, I think anyone who's been in this industry a while gets it, but you need to learn if you haven't been, is that this is one of the most open and sharing industries there is, right? Like, we could not have this conversation if we were in pharmaceuticals or a legal space, but hey, this is a new upcoming drug we're about to launch, right? Like, you'd get fired for saying that, right?
Yeah, you would.
It's only an industry where two competitors, and we're not really competitors, but like someone could say, hey, here's the stuff we do, go do this for yourself, and it's okay. And it's kind of like so I find it's a very open and welcoming community as a whole. In that it's a great one to kind of embrace and just make some friends in and have conversations over a beer or coffee or whatnot, because it's a very good one to warm up to.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you to kind of wrap up our interview here. What's an amazing but true fact about you?
An amazing but true fact about me. I know you're reading off the questions I wrote, but I don't remember what I actually wrote.
Well, you got. So does that mean that you made them up? I don't know. What's going on here?
Yeah, no. So amazing true fact. You got married in a castle. We have male and females here, right? So I got married in a castle.
You got married in a castle.
Got married in a castle. We rented an entire castle in Ireland on the Shannon River for a week. So families actually got to know each other. Oh, wow. And rented Greyhound buses.
Well, that was a risk to take right there. Yeah, 50-50 chance there.
We could throw them on the river after the work or drive up to Cliff some more, right? And put everyone in buses so I get to see the whole country while getting to know each other.
Oh, my gosh.
So, Brad, my cousin Brian last April got married in Ireland, and we stayed at Adair Manor, and it's a castle, and he rented out part of that for the family, and it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that
I need rich friends.
Speaking of, you also said that you knew the Clintons before they were famous.
Oh, yes.
Even did a play.
I grew up in Little Rock, right? So I grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay.
So which is where the Clintons are from.
Sure.
So I remember like Bill and stuff before they were anything. I mean, my dad knew him fairly well. Uh-huh. And gosh, I used to do a lot of theater. And so I did theater with Chelsea Clinton before anyone really knew who the Clintons were, like years and years ago, before she was a famous person.
Well, the Clintons are good at theater right now.
Well, that's a whole different perspective.
Just kidding. Hey, is there any...
That was Aaron Sparks, by the way.
Hey, is there anything that we could promote for you, sir?
Oh, AdAlysis, right? We are we're a time focused company, right?
Yeah.
So things that we didn't even touch on, the engrams, query analysis, ad testing being one of our bread and butters. Quality score analysis, that's what we do. So when we offer like free 30-day trials, because we believe in our product, so we're saying, hey, go try it, and if you like it, great. If not, tell us what you don't like so that we can actually fix it. We believe in open feedback as well.
Oh, absolutely. We'll certainly put a link to AdAlysis on there, and this actually really does invite another conversation about some of those deep techniques that your company does, your program does. Because I mean, as much as we've enjoyed the conversation, I mean, there's a whole nother level that you could bring to our listeners about PPC analysis and management.
I heart data.
I love that.
You also speak at a lot of PPC workshops. So anything you have upcoming that we want to pitch out there to our listeners?
Sure. We're doing a full day intensive AdWords workshop in Salt Lake City in August, and October we'll be up in New York City. And then next year we'll jump over the pond early next year to go over to Munich and London.
Oh, very cool. Twitter handle?
BG Theory.
BG Theory, and it's AdAlysis. It's AdAlysis.com. And anything else that you wanted to throw out before we unfortunately have to tie this one off?
If our conversation went over your head a little bit and you want to learn more about paid search, then take a look at certifiedknowledge.org or marketmotive.com, and they both have great stuff on paid search, analytics, whatnot.
Oh, beautiful. And certifiedknowledge.org or .com?
.org, although .com redirects, so it doesn't matter.
Got it. Yeah. Check those out. And in fact, we're having a number of guests that have large, I mean, it's like a labor of love, I think, from the guests that we're interviewing. They want to give back to their audiences. There's an education need in this space, and there's so many times that the digital marketing falls on rocky shores because there's not enough knowledge being utilized by those digital marketing managers. This is where you go and grab a hold of this information, make it your own. And you have courses online. That you also have blog content on a regular basis there, correct?
Yep.
Beautiful. Well, Brad, anything for the good of the cause when it comes down to the paid ad community at large?
Say that again.
Would you like to have any ending statements for the overall
for the
PPC community?
Yeah, it's really, I mean, I heard that already. It's theory gets you started. Hypothesis gets you started. Knowledge gets you started. Yep. Data tells you what to do.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, this was Brad Geddes. And Brad, we'd certainly like to have you back on the show and do maybe even some deeper dives into PPC. Are you game for that?
Definitely. This has been a whole lot of fun.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being part of the show. And again, you can check out all the information at edgeoftheweb.com and go see AdAlysis.com, and you'll be able to see Brad's tool over there, and you get a free 30-day trial.